Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gav Major and this is Admiralty Reports. Admiralty Reports is your gameplay submissions with my commentary, and today we have a submission from IK Saxman, who is playing the Russian premium destroyer Okhotnik. Obviously a tier 4 ship because it's Arena Season 4 where it's limited to only tier 4 ships. Now this is the first season of Arena where we've had the implementation of the arms race consumable buffs, I guess you could say, things that buff your healing capability or additional HE or HP I should say, reload time with your guns, rudder shift, and reload time with your consumables. Now obviously these are stackable, but usually it's a decreasing stack. The first one will get you X amount, and then the second one won't give you 2x, it will give you slightly less. So it is stackable, but obviously it's like an exponential curve. You can only go so far with them. Now, for any team, Saxman is playing solo practically, but with him teammates-wise, I guess you say, is a Kamikaze and a Okhotnik. Now, when it comes to the enemy teams, pink team, Acaster, Farragut, Okhotnik. Red team, Kamikaze, Farragut, New York. Orange team, Matsuki, Texas. Now, this gameplay, there is no game audio. The reason being is Sax was in a party chat at the time, and the rest of the party were in another game mode. So you end up with quite a lot of confusing voices. So I've stripped the audio out for the purpose of this. But what we'll do is, while we're watching the game, we'll also do some partial discussions about the Okhotnik and things like that. Looks like he's engaged in the pink team, while the orange team has been spotted by the Kamikaze, opening fire on the Farragut. Now, with the Okhotnik, it's always quite amusing. She's one of these ships where the designers just, well, we'll talk about that, but maybe Wargaming just didn't know when to stop when it came to adding guns to this ship. And in fact, maybe we should talk about the Okhotnik and its representation in the game. So, Okhotnik, a Russian ship. Fact or fiction? Well, you wouldn't believe it, chaps, but yeah, no, it is fiction. Now, there was a real Okhotnik class of destroyers from 1905. Wow. And they were reclassified as destroyers in 1907. They were originally built as torpedo cruisers. And now the original Okhotnik has actually got quite an interesting historical or right to fame, I guess you could say, because Okhotnik was one of the first destroyers to actually be sunk by an aerial torpedo, which is quite intriguing. Although she's also listed as potentially being sunk by a German mine, so it kind of depends on the source, but it does seem quite interesting. But the Okhotnik represented in the game is not that Okhotnik class. In fact, it's something completely different. Now, it seems to be a 3D rendition of an alleged blueprint, apparently, of which a drawing was derived. Now, this drawing now probably shows a screenshot now as Sax continues his engagement against the Farragut. But however, it's a bit questionable, I guess you could say. There's no real trace of her in any kind of like warship Bibles, I guess you say, whether that's Conways or Janes. So that almost puts her more into being a fantasy ship. And yeah, I mean, she's classified as like a super destroyer, but really, I mean, I guess the issue with the Okhotnik representing the game, okay, say it is a paper design, it's actually a very poor design. First of all, she's only got 2 funnels. And when you consider the speeds that she's going to be capable of, that's not enough funnels to really remove the exhaust fumes. Good kill on the Farragut there, Sax. So that's one of the issues. Really, she should have had 4 funnels in her representation. That would have allowed, been able to avoid boiler exhaust and draft and things like that, and allowed a better arrangement of the engines. The further issue with the Okhotnik is the arrangement of those guns, especially on the rear deck. They are far too close together. If you kind of look at how close they are together, literally it's just the length of the barrel, probably not even that in some cases, between those rear guns. And you have to consider, obviously, the Russians weren't known for being well trained is the best way to put it when it came to the Imperial Russian Navy. You only have to look at the Battle of Tsushima and things like that. So when you consider the concussion from these guns and the exposed firing positions that the crew would be in, yeah, it's not going to be good situations. You're going to be looking at your crew having concussion, being sick, being burnt, being knocked out of action following the first fire of the gun. Obviously, something that Wargaming have decided to neglect from the actual game, but that basically, it kind of shows it's a bit poor. And I think that's one of the issues I sometimes have with these fantasy ships. Yes, they may be based on a drawing, but that drawing may be entirely impractical sometimes. I mean, I have no issue with the implementation of some paper ships, things like maybe, say, the Montana, or potential things like what if a HMS Hood refit, or one of the N3 or the G3s, those kind of paper designs, but they're designed by, like, they're reasonable designs. I usually have issue with the ships which are poorly paper designed, things like the Okhotnik. Here, the A-caster is going to find himself in a world of pain. One of the obviously marvellous benefits of the Okhotnik having 4 torpedo launchers, which can all fire 3 torpedoes, whereas ironically, when you look at the drawing of the Okhotnik that they've based her off of, apparently, the apparent drawing, she only has 3 torpedo launchers. So again, and like, it's taken a paper drawing and then gaming it as well. It's always quite amusing. But yeah, my issue with paper designs is if the paper design is a poor paper design, it probably shouldn't be implemented. If it is going to be implemented, it should be represent those poor designs. The Okhotnik shouldn't have a decent speed, and the number of guns should have been reduced in order to provide sufficient spacing. I mean, the sufficient spacing, considering the caliber of these guns, would be at least 5 meters, maybe more, between each gun. Potentially what they could have done is actually maybe space the guns rather than along the center line on the sides of the ship, in order to try and get a bit more spacing between the guns. So we end up in this strange situation where we have another marvelous Russian ship which is completely impractical in actual reality. So Sax has only got his friendly battleship, which is taking the central cap. He's using his last remaining smokescreen as he's tangled himself with a little bit of the orange team. He's managed to kill both destroyers from the pink team as well, and then we've got the red team off to the north. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game continues. Now, as always, down in the description will be the commander details and the modules for the ship taken. In this case, I've had to almost do my best guess. Oh, this could be... It's close, but no cigar, thankfully. In this case, he's taken Trubetskoy, rank 15, legendary 3. I'm not sure what his inspirations are. I mean, I'd say he's probably got Bey on there. I mean, that's usually quite classic for Sax. It's just whether he's gone for Sims or Swirski, whether he's gone for double concealment or whether he's gone for a bit of HP to see if he can outlast some of these gunfights. But considering that he's got a double heal at the moment almost on this ship, he might not even need Sims, and he might be able to get away with using Swirski for double concealment. Taking a bit of a hit there from the enemy Texas, but he's working the Farragut over from the red team. So this is quite amusing. We've got the Farragut from the red team making a torpedo run on the Texas, which is shooting at Sax, who is in turn shooting at the Farragut. So it's one of these funny situations that you get with Arena where you can end up with a three-way, almost Mexican standoff, I guess you can say. Looks like he's going to be able to finish off the Farragut there, who seems to have stopped shooting at the moment, although he's re-engaging. Okay, interesting. But yes, the Okhotnik with all those guns is able to have quite a high alpha damage, and also considering the caliber of those guns, they do hit quite hard. So, Sax has been able to kill 3 of the enemies. He's now got to work out what's going on. He knows from his twisting track that he's got something off to his right. So going back to the skills of the commander, he's taken Observant Rage, Look at Me Now, Twisting Track, Smoke on the Water, and Unstoppable. Pretty much a good set of skills, I could say. Look at Me Now, reduce your detectability. Smoke on the Water, improve your smoke screens. Unstoppable, keep your engines and your rudder engaged. Matsuki, not going to be too much of a concern. She's only going to have 2 guns. She's already fired 1 torpedo launcher, which is not going to be making its mark. So it should be just a case of see if we can wrap up the Matsuki using all those guns. Obviously, going to be ending up doing a bit of tactical beaching, I think. But no, that was quite interesting to see that Sachs is waiting for the Matsuki to turn a bit broader on, just to almost make sure that he could bring all his guns to bear and really hit the target nice hard. Because that's the thing with the arena. Once you get all these heals into the game, it can be quite difficult to actually put some teams down. If they manage to stack up a good number of heals, it's really about almost driving home the damage. Torpedo, yeah, there's a second torpedo launcher for the Matsuki. He's been able to dodge that quite nicely. So it's pretty much a 2v2 now. Sachs and his friendly Okhotnik versus a New York and I believe the Texas? No, that's the New York there. What's the pink one? The Okhotnik. There you go. So still a Okhotnik left. Getting lots of torpedo hits in Confederate and high caliber on that New York. Time to probably aim for that superstructure, see if we get a fire or at least get it wrapped off. Thankfully, the New York is firing AP, so it's not going to be doing too much damage because obviously a destroyer doesn't have a citadel. So get it into the... Oh, torpedoes are all reloaded. Of course they are. There we go. That should wrap up the New York. Kraken unleashed as well. Very nice, very nice. So that just leaves, I believe, the Okhotnik of the pink team. So, talking about the original Okhotnik class, so obviously I'll bring a picture up of that now. Now that does have like a 2-funnel shape, but you have to bear in mind that it is a lot smaller in size compared to the incredibly long cigar that we seem to have in the game. And she seems quite interesting, starting off as a torpedo cruiser, then becoming a destroyer, and then through the First World War and then into the Revolution and stuff, becoming leader of minesweepers and things like that, and as gunboat destroyers too. So that's quite interesting to see that they evolved with time. Obviously equipped with quite a lot of torpedoes and 2 4-inch guns, 1 each end. This was increased to 3 4-inch guns as well as time slowly moved on, and also improved with 2 3-pounder AA guns. At one point they were able to carry 40 mines, which is quite interesting for such a small destroyer. But obviously the issue of being a carrying mines as a destroyer is usually you have to sacrifice all your torpedo launchers to carry all these mines, and then yeah, 1 hit and your ship goes boom. It's one of the reasons why during the interwar period, the British did design mine-carrying cruisers as a special cruiser class. So, just waiting in ambush for the Okhotnik. Obviously, the Okhotnik's pretty much full HP thanks to the number of heal consumables within the arena at the moment. But that's also working in Sachs's benefit as he's slowly creeping up and getting his HP back up. He's back up to 10,000 now, so picking his moment to go for the rush. He hasn't got any engine boost, but he does have a lot of torpedoes, and the Okhotnik has his turrets facing the wrong way. So this is a nice opportunity for Sachs, maybe to see if he can flip round to the starboard side with the Okhotnik. But the Okhotnik is turning even better. That means the Okhotnik is now offering a broadside now. So let's get those torpedoes. Now the angles can be a little bit restricted on the Okhotnik, but we're now broadside on. The Okhotnik's basically whiffed his volley, only knocking Sachs down to 3,000 HP. So there goes all those torpedoes, getting himself another devastating strike. All in all, it looks like quite an impressive game of the arena. I have also talked a little bit of the history, and I hope you haven't minded too much of that little bit of waffling. Now Sachs has been able to maintain himself in the top 1% of arena so far. He's quite pleased with himself doing that. So he's been able to finish that game with 126,000 damage from 9 torpedo hits, 89 gun hits, causing 8 fires, 6 floodings, 14 incapacitations, I do correct myself, 6 kills, getting Dreadnought, Confederate, Devastating Strike, High Caliber, and Kraken Unleashed. The joys of putting yourself in a situation where there's lots of enemies, not so many friendlies, and if you're a good player and you can almost take advantage of the situation, then you can obviously make yourself lots of potential credits, XP, and also you're still getting medals, and so therefore it's kind of a slightly easier mode to get certain medals. You have to confess. So there we go. Sax coming in top of his team with 5,046 ship XP. Obviously, that does include the 50% bonus, but oh my, what a bonus! And all those lovely, pretty medals to go alongside it. Going on to the economy screen, let's see how much did he manage to do. He managed to walk away with 492,000 credits. The ship service cost only 15,000 credits. Can't complain about that. He's managed to make himself a lovely profit at the end of the day. And so, in some regards, although with Arena, the rewards for coming in certain positions may not be for everyone. To be completely honest, it's only like the top 1,000 players who are really grinding the game to stay in that top 1%. But for everyone else, 10% and below, it doesn't really take too much to do. I mean, I managed to get in the top 25% after about 10 games, and I've managed to do the top 10% after, I think, probably somewhere in the region of about 20 to 25 games. So it's not really that difficult. It's just, are the rewards worthwhile? I mean, some say that steel is worthwhile, and some say that steel is a little bit overpriced. I sit in the camp of saying it's a little bit overpriced for what you actually get, but then again, it's what value do you personally place on steel? Well, I hope you have enjoyed this Admiralty reports and enjoyed the gameplay by Sax in the background, along with some of my opinions regarding paper ships and a little bit of the history as well regarding the Russian destroyers here, there, and everywhere. If you have enjoyed it, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I say thank you to the subscribers and the patrons. If you want to support the channel on Patreon, link will be down in the description, along with the commander build, the modules, and the email address for the channel if you want to send in any of your own game captures. Until next time, I'm the Gallop Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. I guess this is the life. Now, hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping